Good morning and a very warm welcome back to Ask Dr. M. Now this week I have a very special question that I think a lot of especially ladies will relate to, but also men as well, and because the question is that I've got a serious addiction to chocolates. Can you help? Well, the good news is, yes, I can actually help, and I've had much success in helping people with this, including a lady whereby we did some work and it took her only 5 hours for when she got home to actually realise that she didn't actually want any of this particular kind of chocolate anymore. But there's tons of stuff we can do which is really great, and it will definitely help, and I'll run through some very basic tips as we're talking on film, because as you can imagine, everything is very idiosyncratic to each individual person, and we all have our own stories as to why we might be addicted to absolutely anything. But on a serious note, chocolate and sugar is actually known to be more addictive than Coke, and I don't mean Coke of the diet variety. So it's an important thing to address, and also in terms of addiction in general, it doesn't really matter whether we're talking about alcohol, drugs, sex, gambling, or chocolate, or just sugar in general. Because if it's important to you and it's causing a problem in your life, then it's important to actually recognize and acknowledge this. And although I'm a huge believer in doing what gives you joy, because the way the universe works is that when we enjoy whatever we're doing, we attract a lot more of that. But when it's bad for us and it's causing us a problem in our life, it's not good to obviously be enjoying that, and that's when we do need to break the cycle and do something about it. So great and good on you for contacting me with your chocolate addiction, because one of the main things that we always need to address is an acknowledgement that there's a problem, so that we can accept it and that we're motivated and committed to really act and doing something about it. Something else I always say, that we really have to ask ourselves to identify if something is actually a problem or not, because it's okay to sometimes just enjoy things or enjoy your chocolate if that's what you like and it doesn't cause you any problems in your life. However, we have to ask the question to probe this: how is it a problem? So for example, if you're gorging on chocolate and it's causing you to put on a lot of weight and therefore have confidence issues, it's a problem. Or for example, if you're drinking too much and you're getting cirrhosis of the liver, it's causing other health problems, it's a problem. Or for example, if you're taking drugs too often, or if you're gambling and you start to have behavioural problems, for example, that may cause you to lose your job, therefore have no money, you could therefore go out stealing, relationship issues, so then you lose your support around you, you might lose your family around you. So you can see how it's important to identify how something is a problem. So then we have lots of tools and techniques on how we can actually work on those surface level problems that the actual problem causes. So things that we can do to actually stop those affecting your life, that will then give you the space and the time to address the real root cause that causes the problem. So another thing I say, the third reason, is why is it a problem? And that really starts going on then and pertaining to root causes, because good, bad or indifferent, there's a root cause to everything as to why we act and behave as we do, and why we attract the certain things in our lives that we also do. So every behavior we do as human beings can be explained. So that's another really important key question, is to ask, why is it actually a problem? Now obviously, as you well know, the new book Out of Your Comfort Zone will take you through all these questions, and I promise any problems or challenges you have it will have the answers in there and the solutions for you to be able to address and to do something about. So you've always got that. There's a great resource and a great backup that you can go to. But these videos are about giving you tips on how you can really get started making those change windows and making those different decisions to start changing your life right now. And that's really satisfying for me to be able to help with that. And obviously I welcome all your questions with everything. So going back to the chocolate addiction and asking really the pertinent questions that you really need to think about is, what's going on in your life at the moment that you're not getting enough sweetness, that you're having to compensate having so much chocolate and other sugar for with that? So really, what void are you filling by wanting to have so much chocolate, in a sense that it's actually an addiction and that it actually is a problem? So you might want to ask yourself that question. What void are you really filling? What sweetness are you actually craving that you really want in life, but you're going to too much chocolate to actually get that from? So that is something really to think about. And there are so many ways that we can actually deal with this, as I said, from superficial techniques that we can work on that instantly will help you stop a chocolate addiction. As I've said, I've helped many people with that, and it can be as simple as doing that, but I will always say it's important to go to the root level as well as to why you might have an addiction, especially if it's a serious addiction, because there'll be something there. Now to talk about that on film, as I said at the beginning, is too personal and individual to go down that route. However, I do have a quick tip that will help you get on the path, and it may well work instantly for you to actually stop that addiction, depending on how severe it actually is. But really, we can use the mind to actually alter any of our behaviours. So here we go with this one, which I'll give you a tip, and you can start actually thinking about this now. So if you really think carefully about something that repulses you so much that you wince and you could almost vomit because it is so repulsive. So that could be anything from dog poop with flies in it and something really vile, or it could be something to do with an ex-partner perhaps that you've had serious traumatic experiences with and you just cannot stand them, to thinking about anything that makes you wince and kind of repulses you. So have a really good think about something like that. And when you're next wanting to indulge in all your chocolate and you're wanting to take that nice mouthful of what's currently giving you sweetness and joy, what I want you to do is really think about this thing that repulses you to such minute detail that you can smell that particular thing, especially if it is dog milk, because that's a really good one. But imagine smelling it, imagine visualizing it, seeing it, feeling the texture of it, and using every single one of your senses to identify with this thing that repulses you. So just as you're opening your lovely piece of chocolate to go and take a bite, just imagine and think of that really repulsive, disgusting thing that you hate and cannot stand. And as you're thinking about that, and you're really taking in all the senses, how that particular thing that repulses you feels, really engaging this, really get into it, and think about that thing as you take a bite of your chocolate. Well, I'm actually doing this as I'm taking you through it. Disgusting. That makes me particularly feel quite repulsed. That I know I definitely won't ever go near that chocolate again. That's why I actually chose a chocolate I particularly don't like anyway, because I don't actually want to put myself off chocolate. But if you do want to put yourself off chocolate, really engage in that repulsiveness, whatever makes you feel really sick, that you can't stand something, that you just want to get it away from you. Attach that to when you next take a piece of the chocolate, and it will start to desensitize those nice feelings that you have if you do that properly. And also, excuse me, it can be, oh, it's really horrible chocolate. If you are having chocolate all the time, it can actually become a habit to have it at certain times as well. So you need to start thinking about things that you can replace your habits with. So for example, and I need this now actually, drinking water in place of having the chocolate. So actually do a challenge to make yourself have a glass of water instead of having the chocolate. 1 second. That's better. So even if you're having replace it with a healthy chocolate, so something like there's no added sugar chocolate, and that's a great replacement, because trust me, you can only have a couple of pieces of that before it causes another problem, because it has laxatives in it. So these can be good things to use as replacement tactics, but really do that repulsive one and it will start to help. But as you know from all of my work, the real strongest way to get rid of anything is to tackle the root cause, that's the negative emotion that's attached to anything, any behavior that you're actually doing, and it will just rip it out and it will sort it. But as I say, all the answers to most of the questions that you, well, all of the questions actually that you send in, if you read through this book, the solutions are there. And I know I do hammer this in, but it is why I wrote the book, because it does tackle all challenges that people have. So the help is there if you want it. Well, do keep your questions coming in. I do have lots of them to get through, but they're always fascinating, and I just love to help anybody, you know, that's going through certain challenges, because you never ever have to suffer. Now you can visit my website, which is all the W's, drm.co.uk, and you can sign up to join a Positive Philosophy, and that will give you exclusive access to ask and send me questions. Alternatively, I'm on social media. Instagram is the Mind Guru, so you can send your questions that way as well, and I will always get round to answering them, whether that's specifically or whether that's in a generic sense by the topics that I do cover. But as I say, if you have a really severe problem, get in touch, book an appointment, read the book. But I am always here, and I am always able to get them eventually, and you know, you never do have to suffer. Well, that's it from me today. I do need to get off as usual, so go and have a super weekend. I know it's the UK bank holiday coming up on Monday, so have a fabulous bank holiday, and let's fingers crossed for actually some nice weather for a change in the UK. But go and have a super weekend, and I shall see you next week.